Uh, Hunting seasons both seasons are way underway in a lot of areas. Kentucky, Jen and I were down there. Opening day was September 6th, and we both killed our bucks on the 7th in the evening on the day of our anniversary. So our anniversary bucks, it was pretty darn cool to do that and experience that. So we've already shot our bucks, and it's early September, and then went into the season for Wisconsin, Minnesota, opened up on September 13th, a week later on that Saturday. And then for a lot of you, October 1st, last Saturday in September. And then pretty much a lot of the seasons are open, 80, 90% are open as of October 1st. So a lot of them coming. So this is going through. And I wanted to talk about these opportunities. We'll look at the weather and say, weather rules deer movement to me. And there are different ways to look at it, especially in the early season. But I look at the weather right now, and I'm seeing pretty consistent and boring weather for another week, 10 days. I'm not really seeing any, much of a change at all. We actually bear hunted in Canada last weekend. Jen did. She has a tag. Kind of imagine that walleye, grouse, and bear hunting. Pretty good times. So Dylan, I think I'll start a file so that even if we don't kill a bear, we'll have that in there so that we'll just keep adding to it.
All right.
Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
Just one big file?
Yep.
You can throw some nice B-roll of our grouse and whatever else and some walleye. We got some stuff in there. But, I love doing that, and especially when the weather's boring. However, this consistency that we have is worth something. And what are we looking for in the weather patterns when there's no temp drop? And right now, there's no temp drop. When there's a temp drop, things happen. We'll talk about that at point number 3 here with change. But right now, when it's boring, what do you do? I mean, literally, what do you do? And so we're looking at, we want to hunt. We want that opportunity. We have our hunt winner, Dave. He's coming out to hunt tonight with us for our charity event that we have every year for Camp Kicking Bear. He's coming out. And what do you do with this consistent weather? What do you try to capitalize on? So consistency. Well, we see like when we're really early season in Kentucky, when you have consistent weather patterns, doesn't matter if it's 87 degrees every day. 87, 87, 87, 85. When in the early season, those deer are on feeding patterns. And consistency rules the roost for the deer that you have. So that's where there's a big transition and change taking place. But when you have consistency and those deer are hitting water holes, food sources every single night, you can't look at it like, well, man, I'm going to go in on a better weather day and hunt these deer, because they're showing you with camera or in-field observation that they're doing the same thing every afternoon during daylight. You better get in and hunt on them now, especially this time of year. So consistency can rule this time of year. And when the weather changes, so what I'm saying right now is when you're seeing feeding patterns of mature bucks that you're after, of a doe family group that you want to target, you want to take out some early season does, while everything's staying the same, hunting pressure, weather, winds, temperature, then by all means go in there and go after them. And it's going to be those evening feeding patterns. That's what rules everything this time of year. You do have some off the wall chances in the morning, long hardwood transitions back to bedding areas. Can be where you can get into the side, you stay away from that food source, wait for deer to come through. They're feeding on acorns, whatever, on their way back to bedding. That's not a bad opportunity. They're feeding in distant ag fields. We find they like to be out in the open at night. Could be just a CRP field where it doesn't have a lot of food in it. They just like to be out in the open. We saw that in the UP of Michigan. These big fields, they wouldn't hold a deer in them at all during daylight, but there are a lot of deer you go there shining after dark, and that's where they were at. So, but then they're transitioning back through the hardwoods, back to their bedding areas. So consistency right now can be a great thing. However, there's going to be a change up with bucks. Does and fawns, they might be the same. Feeding patterns will be influenced by weather. If it's bad weather, they might not be coming out. It could be high winds, high rains, really warm temperatures. Maybe they'll come in after dark. But when you get those big temperature drops, which will come, at some point, then that's when there's a complete change up. And that's why, like when we were in early season Kentucky, you want consistency, because what's been going on in August will persist until you get that change. So right before opener this year, there was a temperature drop. It dropped down into the low 70s, which for Kentucky where we're at, that was pretty cool temperatures. Normally it's high 80s. We sat last year and just sweat 89 degrees, sun beating down you, just sweat just pours down your forehead while you're just sitting there in the stand. So a lot different this season. And when you have that cold front come through, bucks especially change their patterns. It's almost like, man, we're getting ready for that shift. They're going to be shifting into September, October, through end of October at some point. Every buck is individual, but they're going to their fall hangouts. So that's when someone else might see, where does buck go? And someone else is seeing that buck for the first time. And then he goes back. We saw that around here. We have bucks that'll be very consistent in October, November, December. We're starting to get glimpses of them during cold fronts right now. And so if we have a major cold front, we might go sit on a buck that we haven't seen since last year, other than we know he's alive. We got postseason videos of him or pictures of him. We saw him while summer scouting. We know he's alive. We might go hit a stand location for a newbie, for example, on a cold front, not even getting a chance to see newbie in person yet this year, because he's told us in the past that he comes in around middle of October, and with a cold front, he'll come. So watch for that change. That's an opportunity coming down the pipe. Acorns to green. What I like is when you have green food sources near acorns, deer cannot sit on acorns. People say, well, the deer are hitting the acorns and they're not hitting our green. They're not hitting the alfalfa. They're not hitting the clover, the brassica, whatever you have planted oats for green. Typically, it's not because they don't want to. It's because your green food sources have been pressured because you're hunting them and they're just staying back in the woods. It's not because the acorns are dropping and they're just full. It's because they don't want to expose themselves on those green food sources, because green helps wash those acorns down. Acorns are not that digestible, just like corn. Corn's hard to digest. They can't eat corn for their entire diet. They can't eat acorns for their entire diet. No different than they don't want to eat woody shrub tips, hardwood regeneration tips for their complete diet. They need something green to wash it down. So when acorns are dropping, those small little honey hole green food sources, hunting plots, the green food plots are key, not only for your hunting success, but for them to help digest and work out that roughage, where acorns aren't much different than roughage within their diet. Now, if your entire hardwoods is all acorns, pretty hard to set up where there's something different. I know areas where I've hunted in big public land, southeast Ohio, where some of those southerly facing white oak stands, there might be the only white oak stands in the entire area. The rest are red oak. However, that's an early drop. They're chestnut acorns. That's an early drop on some of those. So they're coming in early September, and by the end of September, if you're seeing rubs and scrapes and sign in there, it's probably too late. So it depends on your timing for your season opener. But bottom line is, they're hitting those food sources and acorns early, white oaks, red oaks later. But man, when you can couple the acorn drop with an adjoining or adjacent green food source, man, that could be money. Maybe it's even an apple tree, a little cluster of apple trees next to those oaks that you can key on, something different than just oaks to help wash and digest. That's a really good thing to key on this time of year, September, October. Rain openings. Now, we do have rain in the forecast. We don't have a lot of temperature drop. So I love seeing that, where we're getting, the other day we had over 2 inches of rain. Had over 2 inches of rain. It persisted for a day and a half. We had extreme fog. We find that deer don't like to move around in the fog too much at all. It's been some really dead times for us. So we've planned to go have planned sits and go out. Once that fog clears, awesome. Once that rain clears, awesome. When you're getting gaps in the rain that are hours, so all the drips have come off the trees, there's no noise in the woods from the rain drying on the leaves and coming off, then really good openings to go sit. So you could be looking for weather changes. Don't just think cold front, because when you get openings in that rain forecast, then outstanding. And I'm looking for openings at least 5-6 hours where you can say, man, that next rain cloud coming through is still, we're in southeast Minnesota, it's still in central Iowa and coming our way, or western Iowa. Might be in South Dakota, it's coming our way. And so perfect, because we have this big gap now where that rain is going to be coming in. It's 150 miles away, 100 miles away, and we're just waiting, and it gives us a really good time to go hit the woods. And so that's kind of some of the things we're looking for this year, or this time of year, especially looking at the current forecast and just saying, man, we have a lot of time you know, ticking away where there's really not much of an appreciable change. We're really hunt those cold fronts. I love having those temp drop alerts for you. And I really appreciate you guys watching, and hopefully you're on some deer during the early season right now.